this is Jean, and welcome to the second episode of my knitting podcast. If you watched my first one, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun doing it, so here I am with the second episode. I don't know if I'm gonna name it. I haven't thought of a good name yet, so for now it's just gonna be knitting podcast. So a couple updates. I actually just came back from my vacation to Japan. I was gone for about 2 weeks and I had so much fun. I got to see the cherry blossom season and it was just magical. I dyed my hair before the trip because I wanted the trip pictures to look a little more put together. I actually tried to scratch that. Let me go back. So yeah, if you saw my first episode, you would have seen that I had a bleached underlayer. It was just like a blonde color under my natural hair on top. And it was growing out pretty badly. So I wanted to go back to my natural hair. So I bought this hair dye. It's called Hello Bubble hair dye. It's that one promoted by Blackpink. And the box color, it said that the color would be ashy. And stupid me did not go online to check the color of people who used it on like bleached hair. So I just used it without thinking and it turned out blue. Oh my god, when I saw it, I was devastated. I was about to cry, honestly. Not only at the color blue, but also my application was extremely patchy. So that part's my fault, but yeah, that was not fun. So I did go to a hair salon to get it fixed. And they did an amazing job. They matched my underlayer color to my natural hair, and my pictures in Japan turned out pretty well, if I say so myself. But the only thing is, you can probably see it's already fading, and that's because I didn't have time to buy like a travel-sized color saver shampoo. So I'll probably have to get it fixed again soon and then take care of it better from then on. Anyways, now that the non-knitting stuff is talked about, we can get into the more interesting bit. As you can see, I finished my April cardigan by Petiteknit. Stand up so you can see it a bit better. So I finished this before I left on my trip, so I was able to bring it there. And I wore it a lot. And the red of this cardigan next to the pink cherry blossoms was just so cute. Yeah, what to say about this April cardigan Petiteknit. I knit it using the recommended yarn. It was Knitting for Olive, Soft Silk Mohair, and the Merino in the color Pomegranate. I knit this exactly to pattern in terms of yarn, gauge. The size I knit was extra small. So for the lengths of the body and for the arm, I just followed the pattern. I did try it on as I was knitting, but I kind of trusted the pattern. I didn't think about it too critically and it turned out really well. I guess I could have done the body like just a smidge shorter, but I like how it looks now. It's just a different look. If it was a little shorter, I feel like the curve, the ribbed portion of the cardigan would hit the curve of my back and give like a slightly more flattering figure, but this is good too. Oh, but I did modify the pattern in that I did a double knit button band. The button band, yes, double knit button band. The number of stitches for the button band is 15 stitches, which is the same as her champagne cardigan, so that was convenient. I think the needle size I used was 3mm for the button band, and it worked out very well. I had enough yarn from the recommended, so she recommends 4 balls of merino and 4 balls of mohair to make the cardigan, and I had enough to make the double knit button band with that. So if you're going to make the same size, just to let you know. The buttons I ended up using. So in my first episode, I showed a couple of button options, and I didn't end up going with any of them. I went with these wooden buttons. I'm not sure if you can see it. Hopefully I put it in the right area. Anyways, I went with these wooden buttons. I got them from my local Michael's. The pack came with a bunch of these wooden buttons. I think it's 2 sizes. It's this size and a slightly smaller one. This size, I think it's 21mm. I'm not too sure, but I do like the size of it on this cardigan. I do feel like the buttons that Petiteknit uses on her April cardigan and also her champagne cardigan are a little large for my taste, so I do like these smaller buttons. When knitting the buttonholes, I also did it slightly smaller than recommended in the pattern, obviously because I'm using smaller buttons. Yeah, I really like the color of these buttons with this red. I feel like black would have been too harsh, and this dark brown just gives a little bit of depth. What else to say about this cardigan? Oh, right, so about the construction, if you don't already know, it's a it's a top-down cardigan. It has a saddle shoulder construction. If you can see here, you probably can't see. Maybe I'll put another video showing. But anyways, you cast on, you have a saddle shoulder, and then it's very similar to a raglan. You just create the saddle shoulder. You start doing some increases, and then you split off into sleeves and body, and then you're just knitting flat back and forth. And then you knit on the button band afterwards, whether you choose to do the ribbed button band, which is what the pattern calls for, or a double knit button band. They're both done after. I had a lot of fun knitting this cardigan. I think I mentioned this last time, but the needle size with the yarn quality was just so smooth. Like, it just made for my perfect knitting experience. So I definitely am looking to knit more in this yarn combination and needle size combination. I know Petiteknit has a lot of stuff like that, so yeah, it's not like I didn't know this already, but I'll be knitting a lot more Petiteknit patterns. Let me check my notes if I missed anything about this cardigan. So, oh yeah, okay, so I brought this cardigan to Japan and it's been holding up very well. When I first took it out of my luggage, it was kind of creased, but the thing with wool is that it smooths out by itself really well, so I didn't have to soak it or steam it over there or anything. I just took it out of the luggage, smoothed it out a bit, and then in a couple hours it was good to go. So this is my first time knitting something in red, and I'm really glad I did. I think this color actually really suits me, especially after I dyed my hair back. I think I want to knit more red in the future. I just have to make sure that I'll still be wearing the color in a few years. I don't want to just knit a bunch of red things right now in a flight of fancy and forget about the color later. So yeah, I'm really happy with my color choice. Even though at first I was really regretting not choosing a more basic color, I'm satisfied in the end. So, you know, that's a lesson. If you want to try a more exciting color, I think you should just go for it. I think my philosophy with color, I think I'm going to try to think of it in this way. If it's a more basic piece, I will try to be more brave when it comes to color. So, you know, April cardigan, very basic, go with a red color. But if I want to knit maybe a more out there piece, I don't know, like a crop top or something with holes, or I don't know, I'll knit it in a more basic color, so I'll make it more wearable to me. We'll see how how well I do with that. I don't want to end up with a lot of mismatching colors either. We'll see. About the... Oh, okay, so one more thing about this cardigan. As you're knitting, the ends, the ribbed edge are bound off with Italian bind off. And for the body edge, the pattern says to bind off very loosely, I think. Okay, I'm forgetting. Anyways, it says either like medium tension or pretty loosely. So I took that to heart, and I'm a little worried I did it too loosely. Oh, I should show you the cardigan when it's buttoned up. Okay, this is what it looks like buttoned up. Usually I like to leave it with one button open because I feel like it's a more flattering v-neck. If I button the top one, I almost feel like it's too conservative. I don't know. Maybe I'll appreciate that in a few years. But most of the time I do like wearing it open. I just lost my train of thought. I was talking about tension in my cast off, in the Italian bind off. Conclusion is, I think it's fine for now. If I really care about it, I can always pick it back out and redo it. Very unlikely that I will do that, but you know, the option's there to me, which is a benefit of making your own clothes. So that was a lot for my first finished object. I only have one more finished object, and it's a very small accessory. So this is my second finished object. These are it's a Japanese pattern, so it's written in Japanese, but I think the translation is Pottery Fragment Handwarmers, and the designer is Saichika. Let me put these on. You can take a look. I think they're meant to be worn like this. Super cute. I think this, it's knit in half twisted rib, and this pattern is made by, strategic increases and decreases. The actual width of the hand warmer doesn't change throughout. It's all just for the curving look. So this is my first time knitting from a Japanese knitting pattern. I think this is a good one to start with because it's very simple. It's just a tube with increases and decreases, but I still had trouble. I still had a little bit of trouble. I had to spend a lot of time Googling different words to figure it out, but when I finally got it, it was very satisfying. The yarn I used to knit this hand warmer is some leftover yarn from my sweater number 9. It's Knitting for Olive Merino, heavy merino in, I think the color was cream. The pattern says it only takes 30 grams of yarn of that weight. I think I used even less than that. And I also knit it longer than shown on the pattern. So yeah, this is a really good pattern for your worsted weight scraps. I did see that Saichika, they have other patterns with the same motif, these curving lines. I think they have a hat and they also have some socks. So I'm really interested in getting those. I've also seen them release a book. Not recently, I just saw that they have a book. It's called, I think, A Book of White Sweaters, and yes, the entire book is filled with different patterns for white sweaters, and they just look gorgeous. I was really interested in finding that book in Japan, but I didn't find it, sadly. Good news is you can just order it from Etsy, I think. I think there's some other websites that also sell Japanese books. So when I'm ready, I know I can buy those. And this is a really good intro to Japanese knitting patterns. If you didn't know, Japanese knitting patterns, they don't have paragraphs of text to tell you what to do. They typically have like a little blurb at the beginning of, the typical yarn weight that you need, gauge, etc. A short section about general technique, which is like the same section that might be shown in any pattern preview before you buy it. And then they have a chart that is the actual pattern. So this pattern was literally just like one page. That's why it's a lot of people, they can knit Japanese knitting patterns without actually knowing Japanese, which is a good thing because I have another pattern that I plan to knit, but that's for later in the podcast. I will let you guys know. I found this pattern through Saichika's Instagram. They posted this one photo, which I'll show here. And when I saw this photo, I was just like, I have to have these arm warmers. I think they received a huge response from this photo as well, because before this pattern wasn't available to purchase, and then I saw a post, I think a couple days later, saying that due to the interest, they put up a PDF of the pattern on their website for sale. So I went on the website and it's a little hard to navigate. I'm not sure if any of you have noticed this, but I feel like Japanese websites in general are not that great, not that much functionality, hard to navigate. Not just because I don't know Japanese, but just in terms of general UX. So I did figure out how to check out with the pattern in my cart, and it's really interesting. They don't email you automatically after you buy the pattern. I think someone actually has to see the order and then they manually emailed me a copy of the pattern. It just seems so a little outdated to me. They may have changed that since I bought it, I don't know, but anyways, it's possible to get the pattern without knowing Japanese, and I think it's well worth it. Super cute. I also brought these to Japan, and they keep me surprisingly warm, I was thinking of whether or not I should have adapted these into fingerless gloves. It would be easier to keep on, especially because a lot of the times you're not wearing it with a t-shirt. I was wearing it with like a cardigan like this, so it's a little annoying to have to shuffle the sleeve over. It would make it a lot easier if there was a thumb to keep it in place. But I didn't want to, I didn't want to complicate things for myself, so next time. I'm sure I'll have a lot more worsted weight scraps in the future if I want to do that. And I think that's it for finished objects. Much shorter than my previous episode, obviously. Let's move on to works in progress. So I showed this as a swatch in my first episode, but I have now made significant progress on my Regolith Hoodie. Woo, look at that. Oh my god, isn't this yarn just... So this is the front panel and the back panel sewn together, and I've started on the hood. I also have one sleeve complete. So as you can see, this pattern, okay, let me go over the basics first. So yeah, it's the Regolith Hoodie. It's from the Cosmology Daruma collection knitting pattern book, and the designer is Kiyomi Burgin. Actually, let me keep it out. The yarn I'm using is Noro Madara in the color Sake, or number 1, I think it's also called. The needles I'm using, I think, are just to pattern. It's 6mm needles. And I'm knitting the size medium. And as you can see, this pattern, it calls for the panels to be knit flat and then sewn together at the end. You start with front and back panels, and then the sleeves are also knit separately. They're also all knit bottom up, and you attach the front and back together with the 3-needle bind off, and then you pick up stitches at the collar for the hood. I'm just about done with I'm almost done with the hood. I think I just have like a couple more rows and then I can do the decreases. Yeah. Oh, one thing I'm excited for about this hoodie is the drawstrings. I've seen a couple hoodie patterns, and they just have the hood, they don't have the drawstrings, but the drawstrings are the part of the hoodie aesthetic that I really like. I really like when you wear a sweater over a hoodie and then the strings are just hanging out. It just adds like a little visual interest to your outfit. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I was actually really nervous about my yarn choice for this pattern up until I attached the front and back panels together. And then when I put it on, actually, I can just kind of pop it on right now. I don't know how it looks. Hopefully I don't look too ridiculous. Anyways, when I put it on, for some reason, I fell in love with the fabric and I was convinced it was going to make a really cute hoodie. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I was also nervous about the lace. So when I knit the swatch, I really thought the lace was not showing properly. I know that lace does block out well and needs blocking to show the full effect, but even after blocking the swatch, it didn't change that much for me. But after seeing the rows and rows of lace, it's not super obvious, but it's obvious enough to me. So even if this look doesn't change too much after blocking, I'm satisfied. So even though I love the look of this pattern, I love the yarn and everything, it's been a real pain to knit, to be honest. I really don't like knitting flat and knitting bottom up. I don't know what it is about knitting in the round. It's just so much more interesting. I mean, it's probably because there's like less purling too, but when you're knitting like flat in pieces, before you put anything together, it feels like you're making a scarf almost. I just find it really tedious. Not to mention the needle size. So needle size is 6mm, like I mentioned before, and I find 6mm more tiring on the hands. Even if the garment is finished faster, it's the needles are just large on my hands. I find I tire more quickly. When I'm knitting on like 4mm, I feel like I can go on forever. I just don't get tired. So it's a little sad that this beautiful yarn, I'm not really enjoying the process of knitting it. I'm just really looking forward to it being done. Luckily, it's still a little chilly here in Southern California. I think next week it's gonna get colder again, so I still have some chance to wear this hoodie. I think this hoodie has some, I don't remember the fiber content, but I don't think it's all wool, so it shouldn't be too warm. One sec while I check my notes. Okay. So this is all the yarn I have left. So I'm very worried about my yarn amounts. I initially purchased 5 skeins of this yarn, which is supposed to be 1,000 meters, I think. And for the size M, there's actually a misprint in the book about the yarn amount. If you go online on, I think the Amirisu website, if you just Google, Derma cosmology, it'll come up. They have a link to the misprints in the book, and the book says you only need 950 meters for the medium, but online it says you need 1,005 meters. So if that's accurate, I'll be short 5 meters, which is fine because I can kind of finesse 5 meters for sure. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really close, and it's actually making me really anxious as I'm knitting this. I feel like I keep wanting to work on this even though my hands are tired, because I want to find out if I'm going to have enough yarn, but it's tedious, and for all the reasons I stated before. So I think the yarn anxiety is contributing to me just not really enjoying knitting this up. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing outside. I'll be done soon, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, so yes, I have this much left, and I need to finish one more sleeve and the rest of this hood. Also to do the cord that's gonna go through the hood. And I also need to do the mattress stitch up the sides and down the sleeve. So the reason why I only knit one sleeve and then went to the hood before doing the other sleeve is because I started getting worried about the yarn amounts. I figured if it really comes down to it, I can unwind a little bit of the sleeve at the top, because it's knit bottom up. So it's the rib first, and then you do increases, and then the top you're just knitting straight. So I can take some off on the straight part if I only need a little bit more yarn. And then of course just knit the other sleeve to match. But what's really important is getting the hood done. And the string, I do want the same color as well. But for mattress stitch, you can use any yarn. It doesn't really show through. I mean, I'll show on the inside, but I don't care about that. So I'm optimistic about having enough yarn. I mean, honestly, worst case, if I have to order one more skein, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I really hope I don't have to. I've never had to order more yarn before. I don't want this to be my first time. Next time I'll be less greedy in choosing the size. I'll choose a more appropriate size for the yarn amount I have. I was thinking about doing a edge, like a contrast edge for the sleeve, like the electric blue, an electric blue edge on the sleeve, and also for the drawstring, but I decided against it because I think the sweater is visually interesting enough. I don't think I have to add something like that. And if I really wanted to, I can replace the string later, and then for the sleeve I could just, I don't know what it's called, but I guess it's double knit. I can double knit. No, it's not double knit. Anyways, I can go back after the entire sweater is complete and add it onto the top if I really want to. Yeah, I'm really excited about finishing this hoodie, not about continuing knitting this hoodie. And I will definitely have it done by next episode. And that is the only work in progress I have. Like I said, I'm a monogamous knitter. I like to get things done. So we'll just move on to acquisitions. And I was hoping this wouldn't be the case, but I actually have a lot of acquisitions this time. After this, I definitely need to go on a yarn ban. it's getting a little ridiculous. I have so many projects in queue, and the weather is really warming up, and they're not all spring projects. Anyways, first I'll start with the thing that I forgot to mention in my last podcast. Okay, I need a sip of coffee. One sec. Okay, so last podcast I showed the cosmology book in my acquisitions, which was gifted to me by a friend. What I forgot to show was this other book that she gifted me. It's the Laine magazine, Winter 2022. And I really wanted this book because of one particular pattern. It's this one. I don't know where to hold it. If it's not clear, I'll insert a picture later. It's the Wider by In-Young Kim. I think this issue is their unisex issue, so each pattern is unisex. This particular pattern, I love the extremely fat cables and the really wide collar. I just think it's so cute and so retro kind of. But it looks really warm, so I think I'll have to wait till this fall winter to knit it. I also really like this pattern. It's the Viva sweater. And I'm not sure if you can see, but it's a marled sweater, but on the chest there are some vertical lines. And apparently those are based on the Fibonacci sequence, which I think is really cool. So that is a potential as well. There's one more that I thought looked really cool, but I'm probably not going to knit. It's this cardigan, the Hutton by Susan Crawford. I think it looks really good, but the problem is it looks a little too much like a bathrobe for me, and it looks really oversized and like it would take a long time, so I'm not going to spend that much time on something that looks like a bathrobe. So I'll appreciate it, but I don't think I'll actually knit it. Maybe I'll copy the stitch pattern actually for a sweater or a short cardigan. That's an idea. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to show this other one. So this one, I also think it's really beautiful. The Cassis vest. And this one is by, I think it's by Midori Hirose. Yeah, it's by Midori Hirose. So I did knit her Snowy Forest sweater, which I loved. This sweater, or this vest, I think it looks really cool, but I think it would look better on a guy than on me. I don't know, something about the way it drapes across the shoulders and the chest makes it look more broad, which is just not a look that I'm into. So maybe I'll knit it for my fiance? I don't know. Anyway, so I really wanted this issue because typically with Laine magazines, I only like one pattern out of the whole issue, but this one I liked like 4 or 5 of them, so I thought it'd be really worth it. But I think now all of these patterns are actually up for individual purchase. I'm not sure what contract they have with their designers, but it seems like after a certain length of time that from which each issue is published, the individual designs do go up for individual sale. You can check the Ravelry of each issue for that. So if you're patient, then you can just wait. No need to buy books. But if I do see another book with so many patterns that I like, I won't hesitate to buy it. Okay, the next, I have another magazine that I bought myself. And this is also the reason for some of my yarn acquisitions. This is the, where do you see the name of the issue? I think this is called Soft for Woman. There's the Sandnes Garn catalog, issue 2202. So this issue has been sold out for a while on the Mother Knitter website, which is the authorized retailer for Sandnes Garn catalogs and yarn in the US. But I saw this catalog on knit.co.uk, and when I saw this, I had to buy it. I first saw this issue on Knitting Traditions podcast. She's knit quite a few patterns from this booklet. But the pattern in particular that really caught my eye is this, the Gia zipper sweater. And I don't know if you've ever tried to buy a Sandnes Garn catalog, but whenever you buy the catalog, they require that you buy some yarn as well, which is a really good excuse for buying the yarn. Luckily, the knit.co.uk website, their yarn is way cheaper than if you try to buy it on the Mother Knitter website. And they say you only need to buy 3 skeins of Sandnes Garn yarn to add one of the catalogs to your cart. I'm not sure what the policy is on Mother Knitter because I haven't bought a catalog from there before, but it does say that you need to buy a project's worth of yarn. So yeah. So if you just wanted the catalog and you didn't really want to use Sandnes Garn yarn to make it, to make a project, I recommend you check out that website. It did take a while for the yarn to get to me though, but I don't mind. I have a lot of other projects I need to make. Yes, so back to this sweater. I bought yarn for this sweater. I bought enough yarn for 2 of these sweaters. One for me, one for my fiance. I was browsing by myself, and then he saw me looking, and he's like, "Ooh, I want one as well." So I'm gonna try to make it for him for his birthday. I'll talk about those yarns later. First, let's just go through this book a bit. I'll show you all the patterns I'm interested in. So there's this Guernsey Genzer, which Knitting Traditions did make, very reminiscent of the Ingrid sweater by Petiteknit. I might make this one. I haven't really felt the urge to make this kind of sweater yet, so I'm not sure. Oh, this one though. This one I'm very interested in. It's the Jolie Genzer. And normally I don't really wear pink, but it's Since the pink is mixed with like a brown and white color, it makes it very subtle. And it's all mohair. So that looks really cute. There's also this Amy slipover, very interested in, but definitely for the winter time. I'm showing all these patterns now when we're coming into spring. Not very helpful. I think those are the ones I'm most interested in. So yeah, I'm very excited to have gotten my first Sandnes Garn catalog. Hopefully I can start knitting from it soon. I'll move on to the yarn that I bought from knit.co.uk with this catalog. I bought why did I put these dried flowers here? Okay, so the first set of colors, second set of colors. Now you might notice from looking at these, the mohairs really do not match. Well, I wanted to be a little adventurous when picking out the mohair, and it's led to a major fail. So when I was choosing the yarn for that zipper sweater, so first for myself, this blue one is meant to be for me. This is Double Sunday, and this is Tynn Silk Mohair. This color of Double Sunday is 6044, and it's a new color from Sandnes Garn. So when I saw that it had the new tag on it, I was immediately drawn. I was thinking, oh wow, no one's gonna have a sweater from this exact color. I have to try it. The only problem is they hadn't yet released the matching mohair for this color. And I really wanted to use both Tynn Silk Mohair and Double Sunday for the sweater because I've never tried Sandnes Garn Tynn Silk Mohair. I really want to try it out. So even though I probably could have found a matching shade on Knitting for Olive, I was stubbornly scrolling the website and I settled on this lighter mohair. And I did knit a swatch, and I'll show a picture of it. Short story, I don't like the effect, sadly. It's a really mild effect because obviously this is really light, and contrasted against this dark this darker blue, the strand of silk almost looks white, so it's quite the marled effect. And while it's not like I hate marling, it's not the effect that I wanted to go for this sweater. So, and I checked recently, and they have now released the matching silk mohair color for this yarn. So I'll probably end up buying that when I'm ready to start the sweater. And I'll use this mohair in another project. I think I have 5 skeins of this. I might end up making the Cumulus blouse from Petiteknit, but with short sleeves. Or maybe I'll just make a raglan sweater, a raglan t-shirt. I think that could be really cute. Okay. Or if anyone has any suggestions for what I could do with 5 skeins of this mohair, please let me know. So that's the first color matching fail. The second set is another fail. So this one, this color of Double Sunday is 2542, which is camel, and it's one of Petiteknit's colors. Now the thing with Petiteknit's colors, for both double Sunday and Sunday is that there's no exact match for the Tynn silk mohair. So there's no easy one for me to choose. I was browsing Ravelry and looking on Petiteknit herself's past projects, and people tend to use the burnt sugar color with this camel, which does look nice. But I was showing my fiance, and then he saw this color on the website, and he said, "Oh, I want to try this one." And you know, since it's going to be his sweater, I wanted to let him choose. So I went ahead and bought it. Now on the website, it looks a lot more brown than it does in person. In person, oh, right, this color. It's 3511, whatever that means. Anyways, in person, this is definitely a baby pink color. On the website, it looks way more beige. I'll show a color and then you can have a little comparison. So when the yarns came, I was very skeptical, and then when I knit the swatch, my skepticisms were correct. My skepticism was correct. Now it doesn't look that bad. I actually think it's quite cute. I'll show a little video here of that I took of the swatch. But yeah, my fiance wasn't a fan. He did feel really bad about choosing the mohair, since I will have to buy another set of 5 skeins to make the sweater for him. But you know, it's not his fault. Like, the color on the website is really not accurate to what it is in person, and these things just happen when you're buying yarn online. How can I blame him? So yeah, now I need a project for this pink mohair as well. Maybe that one sweater in this catalog, the Jolie sweater. But that only calls for 2 skeins of pink. So I'll be left with 3. I don't know. And I don't wear pink normally, so what am I going to do with this? We'll see. Yeah, the matching mohair I'll buy for this is probably just going to be the burnt sugar color. I'm no longer going to take risks when buying mohair. I think another problem that another issue was that I chose lighter mohairs to go with the yarn. I think I should have chosen a darker mohair. Okay, maybe I'll try that next time. Yeah, so those are some acquisitions that aren't great, but it's fine. I will use the mohair in some other project. Next are some yarn that I actually bought in Japan. So in Japan, I went to 2 knitting shops. One is Walnut Tokyo, and the other one is Puppy Shimo Kitazawa. I think it's just called Puppy, the shop, but then the city is called, or the area is Shimo Kitazawa, and they're both in Tokyo. So I went to Walnut Tokyo first, and I was very, very close to buying some yarn. But when I went to the counter, I asked if they had, tax-free. If you didn't know, when you go to Japan, some shops, sorry, I made a face there. The coffee's a little bitter. Some shops will refund you the tax because you're going to be taking the product out of the country and you're not going to be using it in Japan. So I think it's a way to encourage foreign spending. Anyways, the shop told me that they were trying to get the tax-free system set up, and it would probably be up in another week. And since I was still going to be in Japan, I decided I would come back to the shop and buy it then, since the tax is pretty significant. It's like 10%. But I never ended up going back. I do feel kind of bad. But it freed me up to spend money at the second shop I visited, which is Puppy. So, first yarn I bought is this. This is called British Fine, and it is their own yarn. It says high quality knitting yarn made in England. And it's 100% wool. This is a 25 gram ball, and it comes with 116 meters. I think I bought 7 balls. I'm not sure. And it says it takes a knitting needle size 4. If you didn't know, Japanese knitting needles have their own sizes. So you have to look up a conversion chart. And what I plan to make with this is what was the t-shirt called? Oh, it was the Miles tee by Ozetta. Yeah, I think that'll be super cute. A really nice basic t-shirt. I was determined to buy yarn made by them because why would I go to Japan and buy, I don't know, Rowan yarn or something? So I'll admit I kind of bought this yarn out of stubbornness, not really because I fell in love with the yarn or anything. I'll treat it as like a memento of my trip to Japan. Now the other yarn I bought is this. This is Laine Cashmere Premium. And I bought 3 skeins of this. So I know in my last podcast, when I showed my other yarn haul of this yarn I got that had 10% cashmere content, I know I said that I didn't want to spend the money on 100% cashmere, but I went ahead and bought this. My only justification is that when I saw this yarn in that shop in Japan, I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if anyone else is like this, but when you're on a trip, your purse strings are just looser. You're just more willing to spend money. So even though I wasn't willing to spend this money at home, once I was in Japan, I was like, give it to me. My other justification for buying this yarn is I'm not buying it for the Elizabeth blouse by Petiteknit. I bought it for the wrap top by Nakedknit, and that one only calls for 3 skeins of this, much more affordable. I'm not sure how many. I think I would need like 10 for the Elizabeth blouse, so that was just crazy. Yeah, so this is for the wrap top. That should be good for spring, even though it's cashmere. We'll see how all these woolly garments hold up for me in the California heat. I will report back. I am excited to use 100% cashmere though. It's so soft. Okay. Oh, I feel like I've been talking forever. My throat is so dry. Okay, last item. It's in plastic, so I'll try to mute the crinkling. It's a yarn kit. Okay, so normally I don't like buying yarn kits, but this particular one, I think it's very justified. This yarn kit is for a Japanese pattern. I think it's called the Wall Garden Sweater by Erika Tokai. Now, I've been following her on Instagram for a long time, and I think her designs are just inspirational. They're really whimsical, they use a lot of color. She does a lot of intarsia. She has like a line of animal sweaters, flower sweaters. Just look her up if you don't know her already. I just love her designs. And my favorite design of hers has always been this sweater, the Wall Garden sweater. When I first saw the sweater, I was mind blown. It's the perfect blend of vintage looking with bright color, but on a brown base, which makes it more wearable. It has like a lot of visual interest because it looks like flowers on a wall. Climbing up a old wall of a house or something. Anyways, like it just had so many elements that appealed to me. And when I first saw it, her post said that it was available for purchase in a kit from that store, Puppy. And it was available for purchase online as well. So I went online and I was looking for the kit to purchase, and it was sold out. At that time, I was devastated. So I kind of put it out of my mind. But of course, when I went to visit the actual store, I had to ask about it. I showed the store clerk the picture on my phone of the sweater, and she said they didn't have the kit in store, but it was available online for purchase. So as soon as I stepped out of the store and I was walking onto the subway to go back to my hotel, I was scrolling my phone, making the order, and I just placed it right there. It is a sweater which obviously has a lot of intarsia, which I've never done before. It's also a Japanese knitting pattern, which I've only done one of before, and it was a very simple pattern at that. So I'm a little nervous, but I don't think I should have too many problems. Like I said, everything is a chart. I've looked up videos on intarsia and it doesn't seem too difficult. I'm excited for the challenge. This particular sweater, if you want to make it, you pretty much have to get the kits, unless you just want to finesse the pattern by looking at photos, because you can't buy the pattern separately. And also, there's so many flower colors, like there's so many little balls in this package that it would just be a pain to kind of source them any other way. So I think it's really worth it. It is not a cheap sweater though, not a cheap kit. I think it's over 20,000 yen, which in USD is maybe, I think it was like $180. So yeah, it's a very expensive sweater, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to love it and wear it for the rest of my life. Last thing, I need to go on a yarn ban after this. I've bought so much yarn. I think I mentioned this earlier. I've bought so much yarn. I have so many projects I need to make, and my hands are not moving any faster. So hopefully I don't have any yarn to show next episode. If you're still here listening to my rambling, to my nonsense, Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.